So what I'm doing here is I just have the rotor in here loose in the jaws. I can kind of eyeball, I put this to 0, 0, X and Y, and now I can kind of line up and get it at least close. I didn't put in any kind of registration, anything like that, but I did set it up in the CAD so that that hole is right there. So if I get this over here, I can actually get really freaking close. Certainly within 10 thou easily, and 10 thou with the hole moving left or right is not going to matter anything in doing this. So this rotor is lined up. I will hit it with a torque wrench, get it snapped down, and then I think I'm going to go ahead and find 0 on here again, just to be sure, because if this outside diameter changes at all, it's going to throw it off. I learned that on the last set of rotors I tried to do this with, so I'm just going to take the time and double check it, because I really don't want to have to buy another one of these. Oh, might as well set the Z height while I'm here too. Okay, I'll show this again real quick here. I ran the Y to one side to one side of the hole, zeroed it, ran it back. This is the total distance across that hole. So I can select that line, give it a slash for divided by 2, hit enter, and it'll automatically give me half of the dimension. It's been years of finding holes on this thing and didn't know it would do that. Alright, I've got the overrides turned down so I can kind of sneak up on it. Once I see that it's where it should be, I'll cut it loose. There's really nothing to be saved on the rapids on running this particular part. Okay, lip looks nice. All the cuts look beautiful. Now I did find, yeah, okay. I test fitted this hub in yesterday's rotor, and the other rotor, and it didn't want to go in. But the other hub fits perfectly in it, so I'm not going to try to change the other one. I'll just mark it so that that rotor goes with that hub. So this one here, I'll need to open that up just a little bit. I had left 1 thou of stock to leave on here, so I'm going to go back and eliminate that and take one more pass around. Alright, well, as long as we're here and I've got a couple minutes, you can see the stock there. Anyway, let me unsuppress these for a second. I'm going to go ahead and regenerate them, just to get rid of the red dots. Now, I have a manual NC in here, and I did that for a reason. What I did was I put the manual C in there, manual NC line with an M1, so that once it got done, because it's using the same tool and it wouldn't pause between the main contour tool path opening the hole and the final contour path cleaning up the final diameter. So that was an M1 to stop it between the two, so I could measure it and get some kind of idea that it was round and blah blah blah. Partly because I haven't done too many holes like this where it was critical, so wasn't sure I trusted it, kind of thing. So anyway, the path I want is this one here. So what I'm going to do here is, if you're new to Fusion, I'm probably not the best example, but I just hold down the control key, I'll select the rest of the tool paths, do a right button click and suppress those. Okay. The manual NC was already suppressed, so now the only tool path that is here is just the contour tool path. And I had issues before when I selected just that tool path and told it to post it. I was having issues, so I found it much more, and that was a while ago, so maybe Fusion's gotten over it, or maybe this is the right way to do it to begin with. But once I suppress them all, then I can, if I click on here, I had trouble posting it, but if I click on here and that's the only tool path because everything else is suppressed, I have a much better luck with posting the code at that point. And typically, rather than post it over the other code, which I don't want to do yet anyway, so I'll get back to that in just a second. So let's go in and edit this real quick. The stock to leave is under the passes. I'm just going to click it off, regenerate. If that's not enough, I'll come back in and I'll do a negative stock to leave. Otherwise, that's easier than doing a varying the tool diameter or going in and changing the CAD. That's what I'm going to do. So now let's click back up on the main part there. Let's tell it to post. And typically what I do here when I post it is, instead of writing over the other code, but I'll put an A in front of it just to differentiate that this is just that code, that modification at the end, and then I can delete it, because the next time I run these, if I happen to ever run these, I may want that -1 thou in there to begin with, and then I'll do this again to tweak the rotor to fit the hub, because as I've seen with these two hubs, there is a discrepancy between the two hubs. I haven't looked closely to figure out what it is. You know, there could be a burr, it could just be a little lip, maybe a little sanding. I don't know. So anyway, that's all posted. I'll make sure that typically that, you know, I see G54 and that I see the tool height offset correct in here. And then I take note of the time, 11:38, because then it's a matter of, oh look, bottom right corner. It already popped over here. This is Dropbox, and sometimes Dropbox just annoys the shit out of me. And other times it's good to go. So then I'll double check, there's my 11:38 time, in case, you know, I changed the other one, or if I'm posting this. So if I post this one again, I'm going to notice that that time is newer. Anyway. Okay, it took a little off. Let's see. Okay, as I'm looking around the hub here, it looks like it's dragging pretty evenly, almost like there's a tiny bit of taper here on the hub. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up another thou. Yeah, see, so here's a case where I'm sitting here waiting. Oh, finally. Took 2 minutes for Dropbox to finally load up the new version. Oh! Man, that's a hair tight. I don't want it that tight. If all this heats up, I don't want it, you know, squeezing together too tight. So I want that to be a nice slip in. So let's do another thou. The longest part of doing the tweak is waiting for Dropbox to transfer the file. Oh, now that's what I want. No perceptible movement. Spins in there freely. I can see I'm touching because it's leaving little scrub lines. I should get on the step stool and look down in here and make sure all the holes line up. I didn't look at the other one yesterday. Okay, I'm not feeling the catch now. When I put them together the last time and they just turned, they cammed, okay, and it got tight, and then it got loose, and then it got tight, and it was snug the whole way, but it did get tighter in one spot. And basically what that tells me is that both holes are a tiny, tiny bit egg-shaped. How much off, I don't know. The fact that it turned around and got loose and stayed snug, it had to have been really, really close. But if one hole was perfectly round and the other was egg-shaped, it would still spin around without camming, you know, without getting that tightness and looseness. Since it was doing that, that tells me that both were slightly egg-shaped or oval or whatever. But anyway, that is perfect. All right, well, this is extremely annoying. See how that one's off? The rest of them are lined up perfectly. How that got off, I don't know. I put the hole there where I wanted it and then did a pattern with the rest of them. So that should friggin' line up. So why that got changed, I don't know. That's so annoying. I mean, I want to blame Fusion, but, you know, most likely it's me messing up. So basically what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to now drill another hole over here, because I can't, if it was a pass-through hole, I'd just go in there and, you know, mill it, make it a little bit of an oval. But I'm going to have to come over here and park it in between that and drill a whole nother hole pattern. So instead of being done with these today, I get to do them again tomorrow. Okay, there's the new master hole. I've got them lined up by eyeball here, so you know, I'm thinking they look really pretty dang good. Better than the other holes. So let's see here. If we go back to the other holes, basically I found that the bolt circle diameter was bigger yesterday on the previous holes, and I had to make it a little bit smaller for these. So if we look at where it was, that's the one that was off, you know, left to right, basically. But if we look at that, you can see that there's definitely, the hole is out further. Not quite enough light in a couple of these. I can look at them here with the light and tell that, like, this one here especially, you can see how much extra. Oh, the camera is what's casting the shadow. It's a minimal shadow because I have so many lights in the shop, but well, I wish I had a few more of these. Boy, they fit that hole quite nicely. And what that does is it brings it up to where I can look around it with the actual hole in the hub and see that they look perfect. Because of the chamfer and light reflections and stuff like that, it's almost impossible to look straight down the hole and see if the other hole is perfectly lined up. But more or less extending the hole up, I can see the alignment around it, and I'm super happy with that. In fact, actually, while we're at it, let's oh yeah, that one's definitely off. Alright, now you can see what I mean there. The hole's definitely out further. And when I just did that on the other holes, the new holes I drilled, each one I dropped the transfer punch into lined up perfectly. It just like that. Perfect. Well, I was asked on Instagram how I clocked the rotor initially. I drew it in CAD so that existing hole would be straight up, you know, lined up with the Y axis, which was easy enough. And then I was able to clock the holes for machining. And rather than bother trying to find left and right center on the little hole, which I could, basically I left the jaws slightly loose enough that I could rotate the rotor if I had to. I got it roughly visually centered, and then I found my dead center on the existing hole, the main bore, the center hole, the big one. And then I just ran the Y back, ran the rotor forward till I came up on the hole. You know, and there may be a little parallax error if I'm not straight on with the camera, but basically I look at it and I'm like, you know, that's really close enough for what I'm doing. It's not going to matter if the new set of holes rotates around the center axis, you know, even 50 thousandths, you know, and I'm easily within 10 thou there, so that's how I did it. Quick and easy. I didn't have to put up any registration slots or anything like that, or pins or whatever. You know, if I was going into production on these things, I would consider something else where I could just drop the rotor in and it would automatically line up. But in this case, for just doing 2 rotors multiple times, that's all I did. I've got a few of these to do, so I'll probably show some close-ups and some back. This bar's got to be in here to stop this handle. When you turn it, it only goes one direction, and when the pressure's going up, it turns clockwise with the barrel, or with the spindle rather. And when you raise it up, it comes down, it engages a different clutch, and then it spins backwards and walks itself out. The whole time the body has clockwise rotation force on it, so that's what this is here for. You can sit here and hold it by hand, but if that catches for whatever reason, rips this out of your hand, bigger headache than it's worth. So anyway, I'm going to use Anchorlube again. I get this from Stan Zinkosky at Bar Z Industrial, and I was just reading the back, and all the stuff it says, even cast iron is listed, so you can use it with basically anything. So I like it partly because it doesn't sling everywhere, and you know, you can put it on there and it doesn't drip off before you get to use it. So I'm going to start spinning it. I'll put a little up the thing, and then I'll run the tap down in. I could do it a whole lot faster. One, I'm not in that big a hurry. Two, it's been a long time since I used it, so I'm just being a little cautious. In hindsight, I wish I would have made a bigger chamfer around each of the holes. Okay, I'm ready to test fit it. Got it washed up and blown off and everything like that. And as you can see, these, I managed to find some. These are way too long, so they're just test bolts. But you can see that, one, the holes in the hub aren't perfectly round. They've been beat up a little bit. But they're pretty close fitting. Yeah, I should be able to run them down. Oh, yeah, you know what it is? I think it's the burr on the exit side of the rotor. Yeah, for the most part, they're all getting tight right about the same spot. Well, there's one mounted. It's not going to stay that way. I can't ship it that way. And you can feel the burrs on the machining from the, especially on the other side, the slots. That really fits nice. And you can see the difference in size between the two rotors, huh? Yeah, wee bit of difference there.